And welcome to our session today. I am Violeta. Together with me, it's Tom, Olaf, and Paul, and we will be your hosts for this call. Since security is one of the hottest topics that we've covered so far, and since you vote for it, and of course it's something that should concern all of us, especially nowadays. We have prepared for you a security session for today. So you will learn about Oracle Cloud Guard, about Oracle security zones. We're going to cover also OCI Bastion service and Oracle Data Safe. Today, I'm joined by my colleague Olaf, who is a cloud security advisor within Oracle and who will be your presenter for today. And there is also Paul, who will help you with the Q&A. That was all on my side. I would like to invite Olaf now.
Hello and welcome to the show. Next slide, please.
Sure.
Okay, I'm Olaf Heimburger and I work for Oracle for more than 26 years now. And I'm, if people wonder where I'm based in Berlin in Germany. Everybody thinks that I'm based in Munich when they talk of Germans, but well, I'm one of the few based in Berlin in Germany. I work in the security area for more than 10 years now, focusing on that security area, but working with security for more than the 26 years that I'm working with Oracle already. Okay, let's go to the cloud security that we have provided in our tenancy, in our OCI environment. And this pretty much looks like a bullet point list, a laundry list that you see when you, for example, select your favorite hotel, your favorite travel location, your favorite car, your favorite whatever, and you want. I really compare it very often with a cruise ship. It has a number of things available, a number of assistants that you can use, but at the end, you as the captain of your environment, you have to use it somehow, and you have to constantly monitor. Security is not a product, it's a process. Therefore, you have to use the assistants that you can use and work with them in a way that makes it comfortable for you. Today, we are focusing on the posture management. And with the posture management, you see the monitoring and prevention assistance that we have here. We have CloudGuard, we have threat intelligence service, security zones, vulnerability scanning. And as an addition on top of that, for the data, we have the data safe option to work with that and to assess your databases. Actually, the free tools, CloudGuard, data safe, and vulnerability scanning work closely together, whereas security zones is a sibling of CloudGuard. Okay, quick run through of the particular topics. So next slide, please. Okay, CloudGuard is our centerpiece. For all the information that we get there, we have detectors, we have problems, and you see them shortly. Next slide, please. Security zones, as I mentioned, are the sibling of CloudGuard. They use monitoring, they prevent you from doing things in your cloud without permissions. For example, if you don't want your test environment to create an internet connection, we can prevent this. We just deny this. And security zones are the only ways to do denies policy, whereas everything else are all allow policies that we provide. Okay, next slide, please. There is also a threat detector implemented in CloudGuard, and this is particularly interesting when you want to see who is logging in, who is logging when, and what is he doing, and what the detection is. We are using open source databases for that, and also target behavior modeled like aligned with the Mitra attack policies or diagrams that they use for it, and that helps to identify possible and rogue users for that. Next slide, please. The vulnerability scanning service is great for compute instance, i.e. your virtual machines that you want to have there, and helps you to identify whether your virtual machine is up to date, has applied the latest patches, and if so, it might be good. On the other hand, if not, then additional activities should be taken, and we cover that in a minute as well. Next slide, please. DataSafe, sorry for no picture here. DataSafe is actually the counterpart of CloudGuard for the database. It's not, or for the vulnerability scanning, it's not considering the setup of the database, but it's considering the data, the configuration, the users, how they behave. It does a security assessment. It monitors the user activity, audit logging, and alerting. You will be notified through alerting when something suspicious happens. That can be integrated in your SIEM as well. Speaking of SIEM integration, we cover that in a general session where we use logging and SIEM integration. Next slide, please. At the end, and if we have enough time to that, I'll show you how the Bastion service is used. And the Bastion service is a way to access private resources in a secure way. You don't have to take care of maintaining a Bastion host, hardening it, and so on. We do this, we harden it, and also provide a way to use a very low footprint to use it as well. Okay, let's dig into the demo of that. And first of all, I have to adjust my screen a bit. Okay, I guess that was the last slide, wasn't it? Violetta?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay, let me share my screen, please.
Sure.
Okay, good. So let's go into my tenancy. And first of all, I need to check my mouse to find my mouse. Here it is. Now, when you log into your tenancy, you see this beautiful login screen and home screen, but it doesn't tell you anything about your services and your dashboards. There is a way to define dashboards for that, but well, we want to see what's the security status. So let's go to the CloudGuard. And here you see, I have already visited that, and I have a bookmark here. And let's click on the problems. The problems itself telling us a number of things. Oh my God, someone created a new database. But this is a specific problem. More interesting is the overview. That is the dashboard of CloudGuard. CloudGuard tells you what's the current status, what's the risk score, some security recommendations that you should do, resolving the issues, and check the values of the problems. So for example, you see there are some medium and low priority issues per compartment, while that compartment is a bit trickier here. And of course, my demo compartment is really, really annoying. You can either check this by region. If you're on a multi-region tenancy, then you will see all the regions with all the problems they have in here. Or you go by the resource type, where you see group issues or whatever issue. Host port scan, this is something that we drill into later, because that is related to the vulnerability scanning. The problems itself can be seen in a time-selected manner. For this, I have just that today, but if I expand this a bit, come on, it's not showing as I want to have it. Maybe it's, let's see all. Come on. Resolved as well, nothing found. Screen not scrolling down. Okay. Anyway, there are, what is it? Come on, let's try that. It's not showing what I want to see here. That's weird. Maybe I'm on the rest, of course, by typical issues. So if you go to if you navigate to the compartments, then you see it's something not really looking for, that clear the screens. First detected, come on. Why is it not resetting it? Let's go in there. Oh, yes, now it's much better. You see much more in there. And if yeah, as I was doing it correctly wrong here with the selectors, with the filters, it's not really showing something. Interestingly, you see all kinds of problems in here. For example, passwords, policies, given too many privileges. And as you can see from the labels, we are following also the CIS benchmark for OCI. Latest version is actually 1.2, but the incorporation of these scans is very close. We are working closely together with the CIS benchmark team for OCI, and these labels will show up here as well. You also see vulnerability scanned reports. We come to that later. And we noticed already for the other compartment that we have a database issue. So the database itself, and that's part of the DataSafe integration, is not configured with DataSafe. So that should be done as well. If you have databases like XRCS or base database, you will also get a notification that your database is not updated. That is really important. Updates for patch or for databases are key to safeguard your crown jewels, as the databases are usually called. We can dig into such a problem here. For example, there is a restricted port. Restricted ports are mentioned in here. And when we go into details, then we see new problem. Okay, let's see the delta. It shows the delta. That's it. Responder activity, none so far. Oh, yes, it has been resolved last November. Speaking of that, let's go back to it. Problems are the ones, recommendations are the lists that you should resolve. And here you can also move away, go to the deeper problem and see what you can do. All these problems come through detectors. Detectors are in the detector recipes, but we need to first configure CloudGuard to have a specific target. Here you see two targets. One is the root target. That is absolutely necessary. We highly recommend to use the tenancy root as the target for CloudGuard in general. If you extend it to a different region, it will be automatically extended. If you create new compartments, these are automatically part of the scans and the detections. So therefore, keep it at the root. And if you want to have security zones, like I have one for here, then use them in the specific compartments in the way you want to configure that. We talk to that in a minute. Detectors that are available, by default, you get a number of detectors. And here is something that I cover in my next session in January. We have default detectors which are marked as Oracle managed, and they fit for most of the time that you can use it. For example, you have write log access disabled for bucket. That is okay. You have no inbound security list for that. That is, well, sometimes a medium problem. Allowing traffic to a restricted port is really critical. You can edit these, but not the managed ones. So to do the particular adjustment to your requirements, to your security department requirements, you have to clone the whole list of detectors. And that is possible with that button here. For example, we pick that one, we give it a name. What is it? It's a configuration. Clone. Create the clone. And then we have it now. It's not Oracle managed, and it's a configuration one. And then we can go, for example, to the ports that we have here. And, oh, come on. Can edit this one and change, for example, the port list. Well, I don't want to have 111, and I don't want to have 123 as the NTP port. And I can also select some ports in here and a selector for that. So, for example, a specific VCN, not in a custom list, for example, and then we can continue with that. So let's do that. I did this, custom list. Custom lists are the means to group the resources you want to need for your detectors. And these are actually in a managed list. And for example, I've created a list of emergency users. So emergency users are the ones that are possibly the local users, meaning not federated, able to allow you to connect to the database, to the tenancy in emergency cases when nothing else happens and nothing else works anymore, like federation doesn't work anymore, and so on. But these users should not be deleted, and therefore I created a managed list for using them. And in the detector, we have a threat detector recipe which has a rogue user in it. So to, well, create one. Oh, come on. Rogue clone. So if that threat detector detects a clone, a user who is behaving badly, but we want to have it in here, it is our enterprise user. Users, and then we provide this. Oh, come on. Misspelled. I'm so sorry. That's actually something I filed as an enhancement. Come on. I did this correctly. Maybe that one. Come on, detector, clone. My clone detector, don't complain about my spelling. Ah, okay. Something completely wrong in here. That's weird. Detector role, resource type. Manage list, of course. That was the issue. Okay. For some reason, it's not considering that as a managed list. Okay. Well, that's a follow-up question, but you get the concept. You have to modify the detector. You have to have a managed list for many resources, and then you can go ahead with that. That rogue user is actually not in use. To use it, you have to go to the target, select the target, and select the recipes assigned to that. As you can see here, I've assigned another recipe but to add a new recipe, you first have to remove it, add, for example, that one, and then you have the clone assigned to that. And that's the way it works. Okay, more thing. Again, we have a number of detectors in here. Activity detectors, threat detector I showed you already. And these are, they have a long list of things that you can do. For example, detecting whether a network has an internet access. But this is a different story. Preventing that everybody can create an internet connectivity, we just use a security list for that. So for security lists, let me go in security zone, sorry. Security zones, we go to the security zones. And in the security zone, where is it? We have a number of recipes. So for example, by default, you get the maximum security recipe, which has a number of deny statements. It's a big mouthful of things that you cannot do if this recipe has been applied. It is very useful if you have a really secure environment and you want to prevent as much as possible. No public subnets, no backups taken, no backups moved into public resources or networks or cloud storages, or no vault assigned to a storage, meaning Oracle managed encryption is done. I created a specific one just to show you how to restrict network access for that. So public subnets are not allowed, internet gateway is not allowed, and so on. DB instance with public access, yes, a nightmare from the security standpoint for that. So how does that work? First of all, I have to assign this recipe to a specific zone. And in here, I have that configured for TMP environment with a restricted policy access. So you specify that per compartment. That can be hierarchical, so you can provide it at the top level, but we already have the CloudGuard at the root, therefore we have to do it at sub-levels. Why is that? Because you cannot have CloudGuard and security zones at the same compartment. Therefore, we use it CloudGuard for the root compartment and security zones for level 1 compartments. So in this compartment, we have restricted policy public access. We cannot create a network for that. Let's see how that works and whether that goes, how that goes. So I select a pre-created network already and try to create an internet gateway. Give it a decent name. Well, decent is another story. And want to create this. Well, that is prevention. I'm not able to do that. I'm not allowed because the security zone does not allow me. So no more way to detect this and create remediations, i.e. CloudGuard has a problem, the resolver, responder closes it, and that problem is also notified to your SIEM, for example. No, you don't have a chance to do that anymore. And that is much better than reacting on that. Prevention is always better to do that. So that was the quick example for a gateway. That is just a quick example. Of course, I can create a net gateway as well. Let's see whether that works. Come on. Oh, that works. Yes, sometimes it's really necessary to have a net gateway because you need to reach out to get patches and pull it back. On the other hand, that security zone definition may be not restrictive enough because net gateways can be used as bridges into your network as well. So be careful with the network security zone configuration and also with the related possibilities to create things in here. Okay, good. What we saw on the cloud guard, and let's go back to the problems that we have here. Oh, I'm still in the wrong compartment. So we see some vulnerabilities from the scanned host. Open ports, for example, a host has open ports, and this is scanned for the compute instance, the compute instances that you use in your environment. Maybe someone did something completely wrong or deliberately. So for example, port 111, it's a Sun RPC port. It may be used for NFS, and that might be pretty good. And therefore we might need to change the detector for that. Port 111 is not a good idea. Sometimes it's needed, sometimes it's not. Therefore, we have to adapt this. To resolve that, let's go to scanning and see what's in there. Scanning reports. Scanning, vulnerability scanning is configured in my environment by default. To configure that, you have to do some minor steps, and these minor configuration steps are included in the CIS benchmark, for example, and also in the secure quick start landing zone that we provide for the CIS compliance C. Okay, I see some reports for 2 environments here. Let's go to that one. What are the problems? No data to display. That's minor. Okay, don't go for minor, but go for high and see what's in here. Okay, we have 2 vulnerabilities, one high, one medium. Let's check the ones. Okay, there is a race condition in Linux kernel IP framework. Okay, that means I need to patch my environment, and let's see how it looks like. So let's go to the instance itself, and the instance can be configured to use the Oracle Cloud Agent, which has vulnerability scanning enabled. That is important. If you disable that, then the scanning will not happen. But honestly, who would like to disable that? That is not a good idea. You also see the OS Management Service Agent, which is a tool to do the patching from the OCI console or either through the OCI CLI or REST APIs as well. This one is not enabled, so let's enable that. Come on, click on that. And here it's enabled. Okay, there is some connectivity issue. Very often it swings in. It takes some time to swing in, and then it shows up. Let's go to the other instance, because that one is already configured. Of course, I need to go into the related compartment. In the private one, let's double check whether that OS management is in there. Yes, it's already enabled. It's running, and then we can check what's happening. By the way, you see the metrics of your current instance. Someone worked on that lately. And then we have the OS management here. And well, all fine for that one. Yes, because we didn't get any responses. But similarly, for the other instance, when you have issues or pending updates, you see these updates in here shown up. And as you see, there have been some jobs already scheduled for that. And that is possible through the OS management itself. So you can, hopefully, yes, we have that. For the specific instance, you can apply updates if they are possible, and even run scheduled jobs for that to, for example, do a weekly update on the software. Software sources are also there, and that is particularly interesting for Linux environments, where you can provide the channels and pick the sources that you want to have as well. Okay, one thing that is very important is a CVE lookup. We have a database for a CVE lookup in here, and you don't have to look somewhere else. You just go in there, pick it up, and then you see how this applies, which systems are involved, where the patches are available or not. Good. Yeah, let's check the other instance, whether that has configured properly now. Okay. Let's see what the cloud agent is telling. Oh, it's still needing some attention. Attention is a good thing. We do this after the data save part. Okay, so for now we covered the CloudGuard with the detectors, with the problems. One thing in CloudGuard I forgot, but that is really important. I mentioned this already, and that is threat detection. And you saw that we have the rogue user in there, so that is something that needs to be covered. And threat monitoring itself, actually it shows some email addresses here, and yeah, I tried to cover that, but it didn't work properly. So you see some activity happened here, and for example, privilege escalation has been happening. It's not showing any details in here at the moment, but you see something is happening. Oh, so today is really quiet, nothing useful. The difference in the names are that these are federated versus local users. So this is a local user. Interestingly, it shows up twice, and this is a local user as well. Fast growing risk scores can be shown as here. Oh, come on, go there. Most recently acted, detected. Well, it shows always the same. Yeah, well. So that is good to overlook what's happening. Okay, good. Go back to the overview. It's still looking good. Nice. Let's check the database. We already got a problem that the database is not configured for that. So we go to the data save. Data save is a means to monitor your database and to assess your database. That is very important because someone who has access to your database can create a rogue database schema or escalate privileges, drop privileges, whatever. And nobody wants this because database is always safe. There are possible databases that we support with DataSafe. These are all Oracle Cloud databases. Unfortunately, MySQL is not in there yet. And you can use them on premises as well or on compute. If it goes for pricing, then on-premises databases and on compute databases are a costly option, a pricing, and you see the pricing details in here. That usually goes to the website where we have that. Okay, let's go to the dashboard. First of all, I'm in the wrong compartment as usual. So let's go to the compartment where the databases reside. And you see there is a security assessment, a user assessment, some data discovery with sensitive columns. This shows how they work. Audit trails are in there, operation summary, feature usage in there. You can drill down into these. For example, in the security assessment, you see the high security risks in here. It's loading. And well, yeah, account management privileges are granted to specific users. It's the target databases where we have that. users with DBA role in here as well. And we can drill down. Let's see what we can see. Oh, yes. So we see that of users have direct or indirect grants for that. And you see, okay, specific usernames in here. These look really suspicious, and that should be resolved as well as, and it is a high risk, of course, and that requires resolution. And even the chains that you see here are important to be resolved. Otherwise, someone tries to hide this, granting the access, and want to cover that. So that is for the security assessment. Risk by category. User accounts, for example, are also, come on, show me the user accounts. Here they are. So let's see, medium user account is password verification functions are not in place. Okay. This is using DataSafe with the autonomous database is quite easy. They are pre-configured that. For other databases like base database, aka DBCS or Excel on public cloud, you have to implement or provision a little schema for that that allows DataSafe to collect that. Okay, again, we noticed that the database is not configured for that. We see just one database configured, the second database is not in there. We can click on that, or let's go to the database. I already told you that autonomous is much easier to use for that. And there's a second one that I just created. And in here you see a single button, and there you register your database with DataSafe as quickly as possible. Of course, the console is a bit more convenient than using the API or the CLI. In the CLI, you have to specify all the data details for doing that. Console is taking care of that for you. That takes a bit, and once this is done, then it will show up in the list of the DataSafe registrations. Okay, one important thing of DataSafe well, we see that when it's ready. One important thing of DataSafe is the audit log. The audit log in DataSafe is part of the activity auditing, and it's taken for 365 days. Compared to autonomous databases, which just have a retention of 14 days. If you have the requirement to extend the log retention to 365 days, then it is important to cover that. Okay, no things in here. Okay, you can specify the policies, and well, that is a previous one. In the current database, you see how it is configured, available on the target database, collected by DataSafe. That is not set up yet. Update retention, and you see I have 12 months configured, and if I want to archive that, then I have an offline retention and say, let's say 6 months, and of course overriding profile retention. Again, have a look at the profile, at the pricing details. There is some configuration in there where you hit a certain threshold, and then you have to pay for the object storage. Okay, I close that one. Let's go to the target databases and see whether my second database has been configured. Yes, here it is. Actually, the label and the database name are different, and then I need to add it. Oh, connection details are good. So I have to update this later on. Good. Alerting is also a very good topic. recently I haven't done anything yet, therefore nothing shows up in here. But when someone, for example, drops the topic, the user schema, whatever, then a alert will be issued. Then you have to provide a policy, for example, policy changes, failed logins, audit policy changes, database parameters, and so on. This is actually can be configured as an event. Let's see whether we have this event available in this compartment. Yes, here we have that. That is actually an event that is triggering by data safe alert generated. You can create additional alerts for changes in your data safe environment. For example, someone want to update the retention of the profile and so on. Very useful. The alert generated depends on the configuration that you do in data safe. And depending on your notification configuration, you see there is something configured. It will be handed over to the notification and maybe sent to an email. Let's go to the notification. Okay, that fingered, I'm sorry. So let's see what we have in the notification in here. It's actually the different compartment. Okay, this is an active topic, and well, I send it to myself to see what's happening. Actually, they're sending nothing because I haven't enabled it for that. Okay, good. Let's see. The Bastion script is actually the one that we use to resolve issues. For example, we have an issue with the other instance. In here, as I showed you, we have that in here. That has an issue with the cloud agent. No, not anymore. Great. Sometimes it takes a bit to swing in. Okay, good. Let's go back to that and see what's the status of that instance is. It shows us the number of pending updates in here. Oh my God, that is really important to be resolved. And yeah, well, that takes a bit, and it's well not fitting in the time frame in here. But anyway, we want to go to a instance with a private access, and let's go into that because that is really important. Well, I cannot access that one because it has no public IP address and there are no SSH keys deployed for that. And how do I access that one? Well, Bastion service is that one. So we see that the Bastion service is enabled for accessing that compute instance. And I go to the other instance because that is already in there. Is that provided as well? You cannot access directly because it's on a private network. Oh my God, yes. And no SSH keys provided. Pretty secure. Nobody can break in somehow from the outside. But how can I do that? I need to go there. Is my Bastion enabled? Yes, it's enabled. It's running. Okay, so the easiest and the less footprint configuration is to use the Cloud Shell, which is in your console, meaning you have a personal footprint in your Cloud Shell and then issue a script. Because we don't supply any SSH keys during provisioning, nobody has an SSH key to connect to it. And since this is a common approach that we encounter in our work, we created a script. So my idea colleague was was providing all the work, and I'm very grateful for Leon's work on that. Thank you, Leon. And actually, this is a small shell script. It creates, well, it uses an SSH connects to a specific network and through a bastion with a user. Well, that's the instance. And what you can see here as well is in the Cloud Shell, I can use the public network or a private network setup. With the private network setup, I connect to the network directly, but I'm still not having the access to the instance. Therefore, I need the bastion. Okay, automation is great. Details are horrible. Running through a script of 10 pages is error prone and horrible as well. Therefore, that script, and that does everything that we do. It creates a temporary SSH key pair, retrieves the address of the instance, creates the bastion session. That has been configured for the VCN. And well, once the session is created, it will log in to the server. Oh, something did not work well. That's great. Always a good example. Let's see how that goes again. You know, the usual excuse, I did this just before. So in general, it works. The bastion service itself copies the SSH key into the user space and creates an SSH session, allows the SSH session. Bastion sessions are actually restricted up to 3 hours. Therefore, no long running over the week running sessions are possible that can be hijacked. And then after 3 hours, they are automatically stopped. And that one is taking a bit longer. And then you can be really safe. Additional things are logging is enabled for that. Every time a session is created, an audit log entry is issued. You can create an event rule for that and get a notification in your SIEM system as well, and then see what's actually happening. And that is actually a good case for the January session where we see what's happening with the logging. Hopefully this session will finish soon. Okay, I have some permission issues in there as well. Yes, now it works. Permission issues means some cleanup didn't work properly. And for example, I can do the usual update work for checking whether there are some updates done. Okay, there's nothing to do. Great, that instance is well in place. And of course, to prove that I don't tell you something different, the authorized keys are actually the ones that are temporarily created. So Bastion service is providing some information in here, which session is creating that key, and once that has been created, it is gone. Let's double check that. Come on, go here. And you see the backup of the authorized keys is actually 0. That means no keys by default, no way to get into that through the standard session of the Bastion setup. Okay, I'm done with that. I exit that, and it's cleaning up the session, cleaning up the keys, done. Pretty well. So let's see how the Bastion service is configured. There it is. And here we see the Bastion itself. Or is it that one? I guess that's what, that one. It is configured for a network and for a subnet. And in the console, you can yourself create a session as well. Do it with a session, find the username, upload an SSH key or use a generated pair and create a session. That allows you to use it interactively in your terminal window, in your private terminal window. And honestly, I'm too lazy for that. That's why I like the script. It's much more convenient for me. It's a matter of seconds to issue the script instead of going through all the steps. Oh, where do I have my key right now? Ah, not here. I don't know. I forgot this. I migrated to a new laptop. Keys are somewhere else. Takes a bit of time. Therefore, script is much easier. And of course, you see no sessions in here. Maybe it was the other one. Let me check. Oh, yes, that was actually the other one. So you see the sessions that have been issued lately. And also they are not active anymore. They have been deleted. Yes, nothing to do here. Okay, so that was it from my point of view. Do we have any Q&A open questions?
There were some questions, Olaf, but Paul handled all of them. In fact, I have two questions, if I may.
Sure.
So you showed 4 or 5 services, security services today. Can you please tell us what is the price that we need to pay for them?
Okay, all the services that I showed are free, so no payment for that.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, but as I said, DataSafe has a threshold, and that is about 1 million entries in the object store per database. And after that, you pay a small fee for the object store used for that.
And just to clarify that ever so slightly, that's free for paid subscriptions.
That was the next question. Yes, exactly. So if you have a free tenancy, always free tenancy, you cannot apply that, and you get a notification that you have to upgrade for the service to use that. With the promotion of the $300 or $500 that you get, you can use it as long as the budget is available, and when this is gone, the resources may be unusable.
So that was all from the useful resources part. I see, let's see if there are any questions. Open, no, so no questions in the Q&A. Keep in mind that you can always come back to us with questions, either using the email address you see on the screen or the public Slack channel open in the DevRel workspace. And of course, feel free to join any of our sessions in upcoming weeks.
I have something to add for Ahmed's question about enablement workshops. It's a great idea to schedule these, and on the other hand, you can do a self-assessment or self-training with the Oracle Live Labs, where we have CloudGuard and DataSafe as sessions as well. And I really recommend the DataSafe session because it's very straightforward. It shows you what everything that I showed, and also includes the alerting.
All right, thanks, Olaf. Maybe it's useful to include those links to Oracle Live Labs workshops in today's slides, and then we are going to share with everyone on the public Slack, so
yes.
that all right, good. Thanks a lot for presenting today. Thanks a lot, Paul, for answering all the questions, and thank you all for attending the session. If no further questions, then let's consider this meeting to an end. And I only want to wish you to have a great day.